We run a very open and accepting church here. Myself growing up, I wasn't very religious, didn't go to church very often. But coming into a space like this, it's been very eye-opening to see the power of religion and worship and community that we try and foster here. Being in this role is something very powerful for me because I'm helping more eyes and ears, in the physical space, getting more people to actually hear the sermon and the service, and then in the digital space, getting more eyes and ears all around the world.
Hello, my name is Hugh Plappert, and welcome to Church Tech Careers, where we go into the back office of ministry and learn how to uplift our church members and have an impact on our communities through technology. And today's video is brought to you by PhoneLive.io. So COVID was a trying time for most of us, but in the media field, it opened a lot of doors like it did for our guests today. Hello, my name is Hugh Plappert, and welcome to Church Tech Careers. Our guest is Cameron Johnston Ushijima. Did I say that correct? You help me.
Cameron Johnston Ushijima.
Ushijima. So we'll just call you Cameron. But thank you for joining us today on the podcast.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
You are the audiovisual manager at the First Congregational Church in Los Angeles, correct?
Yes.
All right. So we like to start our podcast going back to the beginning of how you got involved in church tech.
Yeah. So I started in AV in college. I have my background in music composition. I got a college job working at the recital hall for my school. So I picked up some skills there, but it wasn't until my friend who was in the program and singing at this church after COVID, during and after COVID, they were expanding their media usage, mainly into live streaming. So they were looking to expand their team beyond just front of house sound techs, and now they needed video techs, which I had some experience in college. So he invited me on, and I've been working here ever since. Started as a tech, and then when my friend left for greener pastures, I took his position. So that's been about 2 years now, and it's been a blast.
Okay. So at your church, you actually have an AV team with a couple key roles. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I guess I have a team of 5. Everyone pretty much plays the same role, but some people have some specialities. Some people are more familiar and work better with the streaming stuff. Some people don't have that much experience with video or streaming, so they mainly do live sound, but we're working to try and cross-train everyone so everyone's could go to any station and be successful, at least. There's some apprehension because some of my team have been here for 10 years and they just do audio, and they're interested and want to do video, but they're just really scared of messing up, I guess. So there's a lot of encouragement and learning curve to get people comfortable and confident working in all parts of AV.
Church AV is exciting. It's fun. There's a lot that goes on and it impacts lives. But there can be some challenges sometimes.
Right.
Some unexpected kinks in the system, or somehow the devil gets in there. Do you have a story where it just blew up and you had to pull it together and you made it through?
For the past 6 months, or starting 6 months ago, we've been experiencing a lot of RF issues. For those of you who don't know, Los Angeles is probably the most RF dense part of the world. There's not a place that's harder to do wireless audio. So we were unfortunate to invest in a frequency band that got filled up very quickly. So for the past 6 months, it's been a huge learning curve, really diving into wireless workbench and doing a lot of scans to make sure that we're confident for service that we're not going to run into any problems. But, it's a wild wasteland out there. We run into issues all the time, or we'll run into issues where it was all clean, we're all good. And then suddenly in the middle of a service or an event, bam, we get a ton of hits for no reason we can tell. So it was a learning curve trying to develop confident backup systems. So having wired mics on standby that could easily be accessed. It was also a little bit of a challenge to try and communicate these issues, why it was happening to the ministers, because it's sort of a magic black box to a lot of people. So trying to explain that, we can do our best to prevent it, but it's a very busy spectrum. So there's only so much we could try and do to prevent it, but there's nothing stopping someone coming through the neighborhood and just wreaking havoc on our wireless. But it got to a point where I was able to break it to the ministers and the worship team, and they came to understand really we needed an upgrade. So we're fortunate to share a campus with a school, and they just so happened to invest it in some Axient gear. So we're able to, fortunately, have access to that. So now we have good, consistent RF and services and events. But that's been the biggest challenge of this past year was, and it would be hit or miss, right? Like it would be perfect for weeks, nothing would go wrong. And then we get a little comfortable, like, okay, maybe we got it all good. But then all of a sudden, hit after hit after hit. So, but we've been fortunate that now with the new Axient system, we haven't had any issues.
When I was a young child back in the mid-'70s, early days of our first church PA system, CB radios would come across the PA breaker, and right in the middle of a sermon and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
give me some nightmares.
Yeah. When I was first starting out at that recital gig job, I did not understand that long cables can pick up radio stations. So I was having trouble getting signal from a singer. And in the middle of a show, I'm like, you know what? I gotta just bump the gain as much as I can to get something out of this. And then all of a sudden, radio blasting through the PA, and they had to stop the piece. And I was young, but it was still embarrassing for me. That's the type of learning you need to do, trial by error, to really figure out the kinks and all the little things that could happen in a world like this.
So once you got the devil out of the system, what kind of life-changing impact have you seen because of doing a good quality job in it, being able to touch people and help them grow spiritually?
Yeah, we run a very open and accepting church here. Myself growing up, I wasn't very religious, didn't go to church very often, but coming into a space like this, it's been very eye-opening to see the power of religion and worship and community that we try and foster here. Being in this role is something very powerful for me because I'm helping more eyes and ears, in the physical space, getting more people to actually hear the sermon and the service. And then in the digital space, getting more eyes and ears all around the world to log in and experience the service. And, it's very touching when people in the comments of the live stream or whatnot are saying, oh, tuning in from South Africa, tuning in from Germany. So growing an international community that appreciates this ministry is something that is very, very positive for me and brings me a lot of personal joy.
Yeah, that's really cool. What kind of setup do you have there for your live stream?
Yeah, so we run a 5-camera setup, 4 PTZs, 1 fixed cam. The fixed cam is the organ foot cam. We are very fortunate to have what we claim is the largest organ in a house of worship in the world at our church. I think the organ people would fight about that, but when we're going on tours and when we're advertising the space, definitely we bring that up a lot. But so the organ is a big part of service, so that's why we have a dedicated organ cam and a foot cam for him. We run all of those cameras run into a ATEM Blackmagic ATEM Extreme, and then we stream directly off of that. We're using ProPresenter for our lower thirds and a lot of our automation. And we set up a system here where both the ATEM and the PTZs are controlled via an Xbox controller. So my predecessor and I, we collaborated on a sort of software that communicates with both the ATEM and the PTZs. And we use that in combination with ProPresenter, which can send out MIDI commands the software receives these MIDI commands and then sets off a bunch of automations. So we managed to set up a system where we have one operator doing the video, the graphics, and the broadcast mix. We're relying heavily on this automation to set the cameras to a good position, set all the between talking and singing portions of the service, setting the mix to a good starting point for all of those. And we're really, well, at least myself, I'm really proud of the system and what we're able to get out of a, smaller crew of people. Because on any given service, we have myself plus 2 techs, one for live sound, one for live stream. So I think we're fighting above our weight class in terms of the size of our team here, or at least the amount of operators we use.
I see. So, media people are creative, and so the ministry team looks at you to be creative with finances.
Right. Yeah.
So, how do you do your best and do a good job and work within the budget?
Yeah. So I am a big advocate of enabling end-to-end control of the entire system on all parts of the system, as opposed to relying on installers or contractors to get the job done. This past year, the project was really put on by the events director. He really wanted to do this, but I took it on, and we got approval through the worship team that we wanted a lighting upgrade. We wanted to bring in movers. We wanted to have more control of our system because we were only relying on the architectural panel essentially to do everything. Was troublesome if we wanted to do any sort of advanced queuing or anything like that for our lighting. So originally we had talked with an installer to try and upgrade our system, and we were looking at 150 to 200 grand for that install. So looking at all that and looking at what the installers wanted to do, I pushed for, let's just do it all in house. Let's just, buy what we need, the fixtures we have already. 99% of them are perfect. They don't need to be replaced. We'll just look at individual things that need replaced. But the big thing is bringing in these ADJ focus profile movers and putting in a bunch of them the church. So, to really give us some stage lighting, because we really run a hybrid space here. The time I spend on a week is probably 50-50 split between events and worship, because we offer the space as a venue for events and performances and stuff like that. So we're trying to optimize the space for both processes, right? For both external clients and the internal worship team. So they were appreciative in keeping the costs way down and bringing in some extra lighting to really help brighten up the space. There's a few other places in the church where I took, instead of using app-based or hardware devices, opted to upgrade those to sort of open source off-the-shelf parts, one of which is this content display system I installed around campus. So there's a couple TVs that have an ad reel of upcoming events and stuff like that. And I replaced those with a TV with a Raspberry Pi that's receiving a RTMP stream over the network. So it's super light. It's super affordable because those smaller Raspberry Pis are like $30. It's literally just the price of TV. It's all Wi-Fi, so there's no running extra cable or anything like that. And also this whole custom software with the stream, that was an attempt to, because there's off-the-shelf stuff that can do similar things, but they're in the hundreds of dollars. So even going down to the nitty-gritty, I feel like trying to find creative ways not only to help get a level of control from our side so that we don't have to call on anyone external if we run into issues, but also down to the nitty gritty, how can we save every cent we can without sacrificing functionality? And I think I've been in a position where I've been able to do just that.
So for yourself and your team, what resources do you use for training and learning?
All the training has been in-house shadowing for the most part. The newest member of our team we brought in just about a year ago. People come in with experience already, at least the people I've brought in. They've had a background in AV, so it wasn't starting from absolute scratch. We're rare in the regard that We don't have any volunteers. I know a lot of churches rely heavily on their volunteer team. At least in AV, we don't have any volunteers. Everyone here is part-time staff. So it's a little easier to get them out here for training purposes, if that makes
Sure.
sense. A lot of it is shadowing. A lot of it is once they're done shadowing them, seeing how they go through issues and processes and try and catch them up on, if they're going down the wrong path on something and solving an issue or tackling something, you can, you know, hey, let's think about this in a different way. Do we see any problems appearing? So I'm very individual driven in that way. In the way I bring my team up to snuff is, I want them to make some mistakes or see how they can make some mistakes so that, they learn. If I try and do everything for my team, they'll never learn and they'll always have to depend 100% on me if anything goes wrong. And I'm happy to help. I'm happy to, that's my job, but I don't want to have these individuals feel like they have to depend on me. I want them to be self-driven, self-motivated, and, have all the tools they need to succeed as best as possible.
So you do lease your place out for events. In
Yeah.
doing that, do you have a AV fee that you charge them that comes into your department?
Yeah. So the space itself with the rental of the space, it comes with an AV tech. They just have to pay for the hours on top of it. And it just includes 4 mics. But if they do anything complex more than that, then we're looking at an itemized rental fees, stuff like that. And if we need to bring in any more techs, and we also charge a, video fee. So if they use our video system at all, either streaming or recording, that's something we charge as well. So it's interesting being, working with clients in that way, because we get a lot of nonprofit and a lot of, scrappy groups who come in and want to put on events and we want to put them on for them. So being creative in ways that we can still provide them a service, but also we don't want to jeopardize our finances or, promise them things or say, oh, it'll be fine, sort of thing, where we don't give them all the tools, at least the technical tools or the technical equipment necessary to put on their event. And then their event fails because we can't, we didn't provide those things. So it's a fine line to walk, but it's been an interesting process working through all that while I've been in this role.
So you've got to work with the ministry, you got a worship team, you have audience in person, you got audience online. You might have some vendors, I don't know if you work with them or not, but you obviously have a team. You got a lot of people to make happy or act like you're making them happy. What kind of communication skills do you need to bring to the job and the thick skin to, uh, referee all that?
Yeah, leaving my ego out of it has been a big learning curve for me because when there's an issue or when people have feedback for how things look or how things sound, it's not from a perspective that they think I'm doing a bad job. It's from the perspective they want the best product possible. So, and that people sometimes don't have the vocabulary to express sort of the issues in a technical term. So, starting this role, I felt a lot of, resentment in that regard and that people were thinking I wasn't up to the task or I wasn't providing a quality product. But it's a back and forth too, we're there, the ministry or events or whoever is coming to us telling us, oh, we have these issues. How can we approach it? It's a two-way street. Sometimes it's a lack of communication. We didn't know this was a problem. We didn't know if this was a goal that you guys had in mind. So that's why we missed the mark. And also it's a two-way street, teaching some of these technical reasons like, we have to have the lights this bright in the space or else it's not going to be enough light for the cameras for the stream. So we have to have a discussion on, do we want to prioritize the comfort in the space so we don't need the lights as bright, or do we need to, and we sacrifice the quality of the stream. So a lot of the times I feel like the main issue is the the people who have these issues don't know all of the work or the technicalities that go into this role. So it's always finding a compromise. It's always, how can we come together and figure out the best sort of outcome for the.
What demographic do you see watching your live stream?
According to YouTube, it's older people, but I think recently we stream only on YouTube. We've been having a huge, or, been having a lot of new people come in to the stream. And I think part of the reason is YouTube has introduced a feature where you can stream both to the traditional YouTube site and you can also stream to the YouTube Shorts part of the site at the same time. So I opted to turn that feature on because, just to get more eyes on the service. So because of that, we've been having a lot of new people coming into chat, liking and enjoying the stream. And, 99.9% of it is positive. And, it seems like younger people who are coming in and, sticking around and watching for a bit. And, we try and provide a service that, is all ages can enjoy. And, we have a very traditional classic choir. We don't have a worship band, but the choir director programs a lot of arrangements of pop tunes or more popular songs that people would know. So we're not just doing Bach or Mozart the whole time. We really have a diverse service that way, and I think that plays a role in the congregation members who come in watch our services.
What's the passion that drives you to work in the morning?
That's a good one. I'm not that much of a morning person, so maybe I'm the wrong person to ask for this. But what gets me up or what gets me to keep trying to provide a quality product is self-improvement. I want to be able to look back in a year and say, hey, I'm doing a better job now. Hey, we're doing more now than what we did a year ago. I want that slow, steady improvement. And really, this role, working for a church is great because there's a service every Sunday. So that's an opportunity to grow every Sunday. And every Sunday I learn, okay, I should have done this differently. Let's fix it for next time. Oh, we should have thought about this. Let's put it in for next time. So it's a slow and steady growth through trial and error. And that really keeps me pushing through to the weeks, through the months, and through the years.
So what advice would you have for others that maybe have been asked or thinking about possibly joining a tech team at a church?
At least for me, I sought out that original recital gig job. And since college, before I got full-time in this role, I sought out other AV jobs. So clearly something about me is attracted to this type of role. But I would, and what did initially is my interest in technology and systems and how it all comes together. I've always been interested in sort of the interconnectedness of how live events come together, even before I was in a technical role. So if that's something that interests you, I think this sort of position would fare nicely with what you enjoy. So, and if you're curious about that, this is definitely a space for you to thrive and grow.
Well, thank you for your time today and sharing your insights and experiences. If people in our audience wanted to reach out and connect with you, is there an appropriate way that they can?
Yeah, so you can contact me at my work email. That's cjohnston, the letter C, JOHNSTON at fccla.org. You can contact me there and I'll be happy to take any questions you guys have.
All right. Thank you to our listeners for joining us today. We appreciate when you leave a review, like, or share this podcast wherever you are listening. And we look forward to you joining us in our next episode as we continue to look at how AV can have an impact on changing, enhancing lives. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. We appreciate you leaving a review, liking, and sharing this podcast wherever you have joined us. I'm looking forward to next week here on Church Tech Careers as we navigate the back office of ministry and how we can have an impact on our community and uplift the members of our local church. And today's video is brought to you by PhoneLive.io.